All right, I'm going to try and set this up so hopefully you can see the word problem on the screen and my graphic organizer as well. So the graphic organizer that you see here, you should have two sets in your folder. You're going to do one today, one problem tomorrow, and then after that you will be completing them independently on your remote days. So even though technically I realize this is a remote day too. Okay, so the bottom half was what we started with together. So now I'm bringing in the top half. And this is where we really break apart the words a little bit more. It's going to feel kind of laborious. Laborious, I guess is the right word technically. Anyhow, hang with me. I'm not going to make you do it all the time, but I want to do it for a while to get you used to what I mean when I'm asking all these crazy questions. Okay, so in our first read, we are going to determine what the problem is about. We're going to do it in this box here. After I read the problem one time, we're going to write in our own words what the problem is about. And then I've given you a little thing here that says try no more than 3 words. So you don't have to keep it to 3 words, but you want to kind of set a goal for when you say what the problem is about. You want to just keep it short. So the word try there is kind of to guide you to keeping it short. Okay, so I'm going to read the problem. Eric has canned goods shipped to his store last night. They shipped 219 cans of corn. They shipped 873 cans of green beans. They shipped 368 cans of tomatoes. How many more cans of green beans did Eric ship than corn and tomatoes combined? So what is this problem about? Well, I see the word shipped specifically, over and over again. So we're shipping something. So Eric is shipping cans of vegetables. So I'm going to say Eric ships cans. I could leave it at that, but they are all vegetables. Well, technically a tomato is not a vegetable. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it at that. Eric ships cans of vegetables. So obviously I went over 3 words, but the goal is 3. You're trying to keep it short. Okay, so now I'm going to read it a second time. And your objective the second time is to rephrase the question. When we paraphrase, we're writing something in our own words. Okay? So my challenge, and again, this is kind of like try over here. It doesn't mean it has to be exact, but I want you to challenge yourself to avoid using any word from the actual question. So let's read it through again and then focus in on the actual question part. So Eric has canned goods shipped to his store last night. They shipped 219 cans of corn. They shipped 873 cans of green beans. They shipped 368 cans of tomatoes. How many more cans of green beans did Eric ship than corn and tomatoes combined? Well, let's zoom in on the actual question part of this word problem. I'm going to think about back to our wraps tool, where when we're restating, we want to take out those question words. So one of those question words that I see right here is how. So this is our question. Notice it ends with a question mark. So it says, how many more cans of green beans did Eric ship than corn and tomatoes combined? Okay, so I think to help me with this one, I know. For this one, I'm going to do a fill in the blank sentence. Eric shipped blank more cans of beans than other cans. So I left out tomatoes and corn, but that's the other cans here. So I'm just thinking through the problem, making sense of it. I still included certain words like ship, like Eric, beans, and can. So there are obviously some words that I included here. And also, I didn't make it a question. I made it a fill in the blank sentence. But it still works here because what we're doing with our second read is figuring out what is this question really asking for? It's asking about more cans of green beans. That's what I need to kind of determine in the second read. All right, for the third read, what are the actual quantities and their relationships? So when we hear this word quantities, we should be thinking numbers now. But notice this is our third time reading this. So what we've gotten used to doing is pulling out numbers all the way back in the first read. So I'm really slowing you down and dragging it out because your word problems are going to get more and more complicated as time goes on. So I want to make sure you're really approaching word problems carefully. All right, so the numbers, now we're talking about numbers and their relationships. So when we think about the numbers, I also want us to think about the units. So let's go back to the problem, and I'll explain what I mean when I write that down. Eric has canned goods shipped to his store last night. They shipped 219 cans of corn. They shipped 873 cans of green beans. They shipped 368 cans of tomatoes. How many more cans of green beans did Eric ship than corn and tomatoes combined? So the first number in this problem is 219. So when we're working in this third box, we have to make sure that we don't just have the numbers, but we have the numbers with their units. So 219 what? What is it describing? That's cans of corn. Then we have 873 cans of green beans. Then we have 368 cans of tomatoes. All right, so I also want to think about connections between the numbers. So it says in my question that we're going to combine corn and tomatoes. So corn and tomatoes. So I want to make sure I make a note that that's a relationship there. Those two things are going to be combined. Okay. Then we get to our model and our estimate. So for my model, I'm going to move kind of quickly. I'm going to do a can here. So I've got a can of corn. I've got a can of tomatoes. And then I've got a bigger can of green beans. Okay. There are 219 cans of corn. There are 368 cans of tomatoes. And there are 873 cans of green beans. So in my model, I'm going to circle these because they are going to be combined. And then I'm realizing that I'm going to be subtracting my corn and tomatoes. So I'm not actually doing math here. Remember, this is something that we've already practiced before. I'm just making sense out of the problem. So I'm going to do 873 minus my corn and tomatoes. All right, so now we have to estimate. If I am combining my corn and tomatoes, I want to make these friendly numbers. 219 rounded to the nearest 100 is 200. 368 rounded to the nearest 100 is 400, which means that together they are 600. But now I have to subtract the corn and tomatoes, right? This is my C plus T. I have to subtract that from my green beans. My green beans are 873 cans, so if I round that to the nearest 100, it's 900 minus 600. So this is my green beans, and this is my corn and tomatoes. And then I have 300 more green beans. About. Okay, so there's my estimate, about 300 more green beans. So then when we do the solving, we come to this box here. We're going to add 219, 368, and get 587. I'm moving quickly through this because you'll be able to do the math part on your own later this week. But I want you to get used to this process. So then we have 873, and we want to subtract 587. And when we do that, we get 286. But hang tight. You can't just leave this for me and call it good. All right. When we're working with these word problems, I really want you to be thorough and careful. So I'm going to actually bring my fill in the blank sentence back in since I already have that. Eric shipped, and this is where I plug in the 286. 286 more cans of beans than the other cans. Leave it at that. Okay. So I've done a nice, neat sentence. My number is not alone. I know that what the 286 is. It's cans of beans, and I know that I'm thinking about the fact that there are 286 more cans of beans than the other cans. All right. So then finally, with this 3 reads process, we're going to reflect. Is it reasonable? So my estimate was 300. Is 286 close to 300? Sure enough. So is my answer reasonable? Yes. All right. That is math for Monday and Wednesday, the 16th and 18th. And hopefully I can stop my video.